अपने को लीव नहीं करना है, सर अपने को होस्ट बना देंगे वहाँ से।
ये किसने भेजा लिंक?
Okay, you are live.
ओके
youtube.com/chat।
I am leaving, Ankit.
ओके सर, फाइन।
इसमें क्या सर, मैं अगर अपना पीपीटी शेयर करता हूँ तो वीडियो ऑफ हो जाएगा या फिर पीपीटी दोनों साइमल्टेनियसली चलेगा?
साइमल्टेनियसली चलेगा सर।
ओके,
यस।
तो कोई इश्यू नहीं है ना मैं अगर
नो नो,
लॉगिन में?
नो इशू सर।
ओके, ठीक है।
अच्छा,
सर आप डिस्कनेक्ट हो गए क्या? ओके ओके।
Sir, please start.
Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
perfectly.
Great. So, yes, am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are
For
audible.
today's webinar.
Anandji, please start.
Great. So, my name
Yes, yes, you are audible.
Hello. Am I
Yes, sir.
audible, Anand sir?
Yes, sir, perfectly.
Okay, fine. Shall we start, sir?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Department PITDS at Parul University. Parul University is the leading provider of innovative graduates. Today we are presenting a webinar on Introduction to Indian Aviation Industry, presented by Mr. Anand Darji sir. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. If you have any question live on YouTube, and sir will be able to answer the same. Now, without further ado, we will turn the time over to Mr. Anand Darji sir, our presenter for today. He is a consultant engineer at Texol Engineering and having a great knowledge and expertise on the topic. I welcome you, sir, and you can start. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. So, good afternoon to all. So, my topic for the present discussion is on the Indian aviation industry. So, just like many other industries, we have an aviation industry as well. And later on the same presentation, I will be discussing about various functions of DGCA, which is an authorized government body for the aviation industry regulatory body in India. So for any industry, we all know that there are two major parameters. And before that, we all should know as a student of aeronautical engineering or aerospace engineer that the aviation industry is one of the leading industry, and it is the market of this particular industry is emerging day by day. For any growth of industry, there are two major factors. One is the time and second is the money. So the government of India has put up many efforts in the development of this particular industry in India. And there are certain roadmaps which government has targeted for to achieve in next 5 to 10 years. So what are these two major factors for any industry? It is apart from just aviation industry, I'm talking about a general discussion on the industry. So very first concern is the time. So for the development of infrastructure of any industry, we need to put time. So the airport development or road access or airways system development, there is requirement of time. So that is why the government has put an effort for next 5 to 10 years in the roadmap that they will be developing certain number of airports or infrastructure in the field of aviation industry. And for solving this issue, it is very important that the problem will be solved within some stipulated time. So the fundamental issue is that the system was allowed to stagnate. So if we discuss about, if we look at the concern that before certain years or few years ago, the aviation industry was not very much evolved in the India. So it was a stagnant time for the aviation. And now onwards, government has made some roadmaps. They have planned some visions, very clear visions. And because of that, we are able to have some good number of aviation industries. Few are in collaboration in India. So the government has done wonderful efforts in last few years. So moving to the privatization of airports, merging and restructuring of any airport So that is also a part of government roadmap. Also, the development of national airlines, that is for the domestic purpose as well as for international purpose. So government has made certain rules and regulations. Uh, they have those rules and regulations will be followed by those particular aviation industries. And the second major concern is the money. So if we talk about the money, money can be obtained for any industry using two major methods. One is the stakeholders and second is the foreign investors. So as a part of industrial perspective, if we think that if we want to go for any industry, so nowadays government are also trying to attract investors or industrial people towards the industry growth in their particular states. So if we talk about programs like Vibrant Gujarat Summit, and the similar programs have been copied in many other states. So these programs are just to attract foreign investors to invest in their states. So there are major benefits like the growth of infrastructure in the state, the revenue generation in the state, the job perspection in the state, and also the development of entire state and the nation. So second concern is the money. So how can one get money for the aviation industry? So we all know that aviation industry is a kind of industry where the effort to invest it is very costlier. So the development of this particular industry is very costly business. And for this particular business, we require to have money from different investors. So government has targeted that anybody who want to do business in the aviation sector within an Indian premises, he can go for the foreign investment. So there are certain rules and regulations which I will be discussing later on in the same presentation, that what are the ratios or percentage that any by which any private industry can invest in the India. So the traditional reluctance to admit foreign funds to local entities has had clear outcomes. So government has found that yes, if you get foreign investment in the India, so it has a major benefits. So under this investment policy in India or any Indian company, so there is a dominance by the foreign companies in international markets. So government has made that those companies, those foreign companies which have reputed place in the industry or say international market, they can directly come to India, they can invest here, they can collaborate with the Indian company and they can start their business in the India. Second is the shortage of consumer options. Second very important parameter is that the consumer options in India, if we talk about the Indian people mindset to travel using an or to travel via air, what the market or what their mindset is that it's costly to be here. So foreign companies who are investing in India, they have to start their business using the concern of these people. They have to they have to think about the thought process of these people. Then the third is the loss of economic opportunities. So if recently we see about the COVID-19 crisis, so the aviation industry or any other industry is not making any profit since last 3 to 4 months. So there are certain government policies, and later on we will come to know that how much impact of this COVID-19 has made on the Indian aviation sector. So there is very strong message from the government that please admit that the foreign investors are welcome in India. Second is the permit higher level of foreign investment in aviation enterprises. So higher level of investment is required. It is very, very more required in the Indian sector. So what is the current scenario of Indian aviation industry? So let's look at that. What is the entire scenario we have right now in the Indian aviation sector? So India has just completed 109 years in the aviation sector on 18th February 2020. The civil aviation industry in India has emerged as one of the fastest growing industry in the country during last few years. So if we talk about few years ago, so we didn't had many aviation companies or airlines in India, but now we have many national as well as in the collaborative airline businesses in India. So India has become the third largest domestic aviation market after UK, and now it is expected that it will overtake the UK in the largest air passenger market by the 2024. So Airport Authority of India right now managing 125 airports, including few which are ongoing airports, and out of 125 airports, 11 international airports and 81 domestic airports and 8 customer airports are working, including 25 civil enclave and defense airfields are also available. With the liberalization of the Indian aviation sector, aviation industry has undergone rapid transformation. So being primarily a government-owned industry, definitely Indian aviation sector is government-owned industry, because whatever regulations and rules they have to follow for any industry, that will be based on the DGCA. So DGCA is a government body, and that will regulate all the aviation industries in India. So Indian aviation now dominated by privately owned full service airlines. There are some private airlines which are nationalized and low cost carriers. So private airlines account for around 75% share of domestic airline aviation market. And now the Ministry of Civil Aviation has claimed that the airline business is growing at 27% every year per annum. So there are major factors like the market size. So market size is the knowledge about the aviation and why one should do business in the aviation sector. So this market size is an important parameter which any foreign investor will look at. So if we look at the market size of India, according to financial year of 2020, so India's passenger traffic stood at 341.05 million in financial year 20. So it grew at a compound annual growth rate, which is CAGR, of 11.13% during the financial year of 2016 to 2020. So if we look at many other parameters, the aviation industry has made a constant growth rate, and that is why people, or say the international aviation industry or any foreign industry, is looking to have business in India. And to cater the rising of air traffic, definitely people in India are preferring now airlines. If you talk about yourself, before few years ago, you were not thinking about to travel using aircraft. But now if you want to go for a longer distance within a country or out of the country, aviation is the only mode of transportation. So definitely now people have changed their thought process. Now they have turned towards the kind of business, and now they are also looking at to have their concern towards the Indian aviation sector. So second is the air traffic. So air traffic of domestic has increased by 14%. So this air traffic ratio has keep on increasing since 2016 to 2020, and there is a strong domestic passenger growth rate of about 22.3% was observed in July 2018. So according to the DGCA study of July 2018, the airlines in India handle 5 million domestic passengers per year, according to the data released by the DGCA. And this is the 18th consecutive month of double-digit growth. So if we look at, it is the 18th consecutive month where Indian aviation sector is having more and more domestic passengers. So this has also encouraged others to have investment in India. So this is about the passenger traveling ratio in India. Now let's talk about the trades and investments. So what are the kind of trades and investments are happening in Indian aviation sector? Aviation sector is not only making money out of the passenger traveling, they are also making money from the trades and other investments. So the transportation of goods are also one of the important parameter. So according to the data released by the Department of Promotion of Industry and International Trade, FDI inflow in India's air transport sector has reached of almost around 2.75 billion US dollar between April 2002 March 2020. So government has allowed 100% foreign direct investment (FDI) under the automatic route in scheduled air transport service. So regional air transport service and domestic scheduled passenger airline. However, it is a government rule that any foreign country who want to, any foreign industry who want to do business in Indian aviation sector, their maximum ratio will be up to 49%. So they can invest up to 49%. Rest of the 51% will be invested by the Indian company in that particular aviation sector. So India's aviation industry is expected to witness of almost around 35,000 crore rupees investment in next 4 years. So that is the plan of government. So if you look at yourself that the government, present government has made many efforts for the growth of aviation sector. They have purchased uh, many military aircrafts from the foreign countries, and this has shown that the government is really keenly interested in the development of Indian aviation company, and that is why they are also providing more and more efforts to have growth of this particular industry. So what are the key investments we have in the Indian aviation sector? Let's take some examples. What are the key investments and developments which government has done? So in December 2019, Airport Authority of India has announced its plan to set up India's first 3 water aerodromes in Andaman and Nicobar. So there will be 3 water aerodromes in Andaman and Nicobar. So in January 2020, Indigo became the first Indian carrier to have an aircraft fleet size of 250 planes and become the first airline to operate 1500 flights per day. So Indigo is one of the leading domestic airline in India. It's definitely a privately owned aviation industry, and it is having fleet size, means the number of aircrafts which they have is almost about 250 aircraft, and they have operated almost around 1500 flights per day. So as of December 2019, France-based Safran Group planned an investment of around 150 million US dollar in a new aircraft engine maintenance, repair and overhaul, which is MRO unit in India to cater to its airline customers. So now this Safran Group or Safran company will invest in India for the maintenance, repair and overhaul of aircraft engines, and this is also a very good investment which will be coming up in next few years. Also in the November 2019, the Competition Commission of India approved the acquisition of trade holdings in Mumbai International Airport Limited by Adani Properties. So now the airport privatization is there, and now Adani Properties will manage Mumbai International Airport. So now those airports which were regulated by the Airport Authority of India will now be regulated. They will be maintained by the private sector. So that is also a revenue generating step taken by the government of India. Also, Airport Authority of India has planned to invest almost around 25,000 crore in next 5 years to augment facilities and infrastructure for the airports. So if you see that government is trying to attract passengers at airport, and that's why they are also developing airports. If you look at any airport and compare yourself, your airport and a bus stand, you can see that there is a clear difference. Airports are more clean, they are more having good infrastructure, they are having good gardens, they are well maintained, and the staff is also very helpful. So that is how government is trying to attract passengers. They are also trying to attract passengers for having traveling on their airlines, on their aircrafts. This is also a revenue generating step. UK Group is going to invest almost around 950 crore rupees in Turbo Aviation new airline, which will be coming up next few years with the name of TrueStar. So AI plans to develop Guwahati as an inter-regional hub and Agartala, Imphal and Dibrugarh as intra-regional hubs. So these are also few next coming up projects in India. And Indian aircraft manufacturer repair and overhaul, that is MRO service providers, they are exempted completely from the customs and countervailing duties. So those Indian companies who are in the business of MRO, they are free from the custom and countervailing duties as per government of Indian policy. So there are certain entries in the aviation sector. So if you look at few airlines in India, those airlines are not completely owned by an an Indian businessman. They are a foreign investors who have collaborated with the India, and then they have started this kind of business. So Singapore Airlines Limited, which is one of the leading global airline brand, has entered into the India in a joint venture with Tata Group, which is now named as Vistara Airlines. This is the third foreign airline to do business in India after Abu Dhabi's Etihad Airways and Malaysia's AirAsia. So this AirAsia, Abu Dhabi's Etihad, and now we have Vistara Airways. These three airlines are organized with the collaborative work. So the airlines are taking advantage of a historic decision taken by the government of India in September last year that allowed overseas airlines to invest up to 49% in local carriers. Previously, the foreign investors were investing, but not airlines were investing. So it was not the airline which were investing, those investors who were investing here. They had been allowed to hold up to 49% stake in India's airline. But now they can have their investment up to 49% with the stakeholder. So under the agreement, it's signed with Tata Group, holding company Tata Sons Limited. Singapore Airline will hold 49% stake, and Tata will be having 51% stake in the Vistara Airlines. This is the full service airline in India. So now in domestic market, we have Vistara Airways also, along with your Indigo, SpiceJet, AirAsia, and many other. So with this deal, Tata has doubled its bet on the Indian aviation sector. So you know that even the growth of Indian aviation sector arises from the Tata only. Now Tata is the only company who is taking much interest for the development of Indian aviation sector. Tata has not only just made a single business using this Vistara airline operation, but they have done many other business in past also. So earlier, the companies signed an agreement to start a budget airline in partnership with the AirAsia and the closely held Indian company Telstra Trade Place Private Limited. This deal is still in the pending, and it is expected that this particular deal will clear. Then definitely the airline which will be operated will be having low cost aircrafts. Etihad was the first to enter into the Indian aviation sector with a dual duty of 24% stake in the Jet Airways. This was the India's second largest domestic and international carrier. That deal is expected to close in next couple of years. So now in next couple of years, the Etihad and Jet Airways bidding will be closed. That deal will be closed. So still, despite of all this interest and all the efforts of government, the Indian aviation sector is still a troubled one. It is always claimed that the sector is still troubled one as compared to any other developed country. So what are those reasons? So reasons are Indian carriers lost about $1.6 million in the financial year ended in March 31st in 2016, with most of this account for the Air India and Kingfisher. So we had here this kind of airlines, which was not able to make good profit in the Indian aviation sector. So those airlines are now closed; they are not operated anymore. So Kingfisher Airline is also one of those. So as a result of this kind of airlines, the increased expenses and declining passenger traffic is happened. Also, the one major factor which I will be discussing in this particular slide is about the cost of fuel. So fuel cost is also a very important aspect for any airline operator, and any new entrant which will be entering into the Indian aviation sector, they have to think about all other past experiences happened in India. So they have to be prepared for the several years of losses, because still the mindset and the per capita income in India is not so high as compared to the developed country, and that is why the people are still not confident about traveling into the Indian airlines. So that is why any new entrant has to start ready for the loss at the initial few stage, and that is why this market is also tough. Also, presently in India, we are having Indigo, SpiceJet, GoAir, AirAsia, Air India, and Vistara Airlines as a major part of domestic aviation industry. And if we talk about Indigo, SpiceJet, GoAir kind of aviation industry, these airlines are low cost, low budget airlines, and and now it is expected that few more airlines will come into the market and they will start doing business. So greatest potential may be in the international route as international traffic in and out of India. So if we compare India with any other foreign country, like any developed nation, so still we do not have so high traffic in India, and that is why it traffic is directly proportional to the number of passengers which will be there on board. So if passengers are not there, then the traffic is definitely low and airline operator will not operate any airline. That is a simple fundamental. And looking at this particular scenario, any aviation sector who want to do business here in India, they will look at this particular market research before operating their particular airline. The more immediate question is how will Tata manage? So now we have seen that Tata has started business in airline, including the Vistara Airways and one more which is in pending. And in past also Tata had done business in airlines. So it is to see that how Tata will manage two competitive agreements. Will Tata be success or not? If this example will set are successful, then many other airlines will try to invest here. So we know that this is a costlier business, and that is why people who are planning to invest in India, they have to think about the mindset and many other aspects. So what are the advantages of investing in India? So government has made certain roadmap that there are certain advantages and why foreign or any Indian businessman should start doing business in the aviation sector. Very first is the robust demand. There is a demand. So rising working group and widening middle class demography is expected to boost demand. So every day or every year, if we see the domestic airline operators have found that there is a growth of passengers observed in last few years, and that is why this is a very hopeful uh, benefit that any industry uh, planner can go for. Second is the country will become the third largest aviation market in terms of passengers by 2024. So after UK and USA, so after USA, UK, now India is the third largest aviation market. So the ease of doing business, strategies and policies to do business in the Indian aviation sector is also made easier government, and that is why any aviation planner can start doing business in India. Second is the opportunities in MRO. So what are the opportunities one has in the case of maintenance and overall kind of business? So the expenditure in MRO accounts for 12 to 15% of the total revenue. And so just after the fuel cost, MRO business is the second profit making business in India. So fuel fuel providing companies are the first, and second is the MRO service providers. So they can go for the profit using this aviation sector. So this aviation fuel and MRO are also accounted in the aviation industry, and that is why anyone who want to start doing the business case, they will be accounted in the case of aviation industry. So there are benefits, there are certain ease of doing businesses available. Third is this policy support. So government has also made their policies very, earlier it was found that the government policies are very rude and stagnant, but now it is not so. Government has made ease of doing kind of business here in India, and using the foreign direct investments, and investment can maximum go up to 49% in any aviation sector. And the last is the increasing investments. So if you look at the Indian aviation sector or any industrial sector of India, the once the policies like the Vibrant Gujarat Summit or any other like Uttar Pradesh Summit for the business, so this kind of programs have attracted foreign policymakers or foreign investors to do their business in India, and that is why aviation is also a futuristic investment plan which any aviation operator can go for. So if you look at the market size, which I have just explained, that can be, this data is presented here, that this is for the financial year of 2020. So in the scheduled airlines operation in India has done almost around 506.91 kilometer, million of kilometer distance traveled. The non-scheduled flights have operated of almost around 106 kilometers, million kilometers. So air passengers have traveled of almost around 341.05 million in the financial year of 2020, and the cargo handled, that is the metric ton, in terms of metric ton, is almost around 3.33 metric tons of cargo has been handled by the aviation industry. Almost there are 620 number of aircrafts which are there in India right now, and 103 number of airports. These are those airports which are operating, which are in the operating condition. So these are the operating airports which are there in the Indian territory right now. So if you look at the activity of Airport Authority of India, so there are almost in the aircraft movement, so there are major aircraft movement is due to the domestic aircrafts, almost around 83.31%, and 16.69, that means almost around 17% of aircraft movement is by the international aircrafts in the Indian territory for the financial year of 2020. Similarly, the passenger traffic in India is majorly due to the domestic one, and but cargo traffic, or say the cargo freight, is more for the international case. It is almost around 60.18% of cargo freight has been done by the international aviation or international aircrafts in India. Then the key trends are growth in the domestic passengers. So if you look at the growth of domestic passenger for the last 3 financial years, the growth is continuously increasing. In the case of financial year 2018, it was 243. Now it has keep on rise, and till now in the financial year of 2020, almost 274.5 million passengers have traveled. And similarly, the growth of international passengers is also increasing. In the case of financial year 2020, till today, it is almost around 66.54 million passengers have traveled in the international flights. What are the government initiative? So government has done many initiatives like the Udan scheme, 100% FDI for the greenfield projects, open sky policy. One more is the Vande Bharat mission, which government has had done and is still doing in this COVID-19 crisis to bring back the Indian residents from foreign countries. So what is the future of Indian aviation due to the deals? So there are many deals happened, and because of this kind of deals, what can be the future of Indian aviation? So because of these many deals, the confidence is returning to the Indian aviation sector. The increasing interest of international airlines like Etihad, AirAsia, and Singapore Airlines into the Indian passenger carrier signals renewed the confidence in the sector. This is what said by the Civil Aviation Minister, who is Mr. Hardeep Singh Puri. So, Civil Aviation Minister has claimed that yes, because of certain crisis, if I give you a very good example of how to build a confidence in the aviation sector. So, if you remember about the world WTP attack, World Trade Park attack in USA. So this attack had frightened people in such a way that people were not able, they were not mentally ready to travel in the using the air transportation. So they were avoiding to travel using aircrafts. So that was such a bad impact happened on the aviation industry during those era of WTP attack. And similar case of threatening movement has arrived now because of the COVID-19 crisis. So people are also still not in the condition that whether we should travel using air transport mode or not, because this is also a major transportation of coronaviruses. So in the long run, there is tremendous potential to grow this business. Definitely, the different alliances like the Jet Etihad is positive for the industry. We have till now observed that the Jet is also making good business in India. So definitely this kind of tie-up or say foreign investment collaborative projects will definitely make benefit in the Indian aviation sector. So as I mentioned that fuel cost is one of the important, very, very important aspect for every airline operator. Any airline operator, if you look at, they are making target towards the pilots that at least go for those kind of operations where your fuel consumption is minimum. And that is why it is directly proportional to the fuel cost. The fuel cost, especially aviation fuel cost, is very high, and government is looking into the matter as fuel constitutes nearly almost around uh, almost around 50% of airline cost. So almost 50% of airline cost is because of the aviation fuel, and that's why government is planning to reduce this cost as low as they can. But we all know that the aviation fuel, the fuel, is mainly because of two major aspects. One is the central government duty, and second is the state government duty. So these rules and regulations for the aviation fuel depends on both the governments, and that is why the fuel prices comprises of almost around 50% of the operating cost of airlines in India, and have dented the sector as most airlines bleed under the high state sales tax regime. A very good example of this particular sentence is the Kingfisher Airline. Kingfisher Airline vanished away just because of the fuel cost. They were not in the situation to operate the aircraft anymore because of fuel. They were not getting higher passengers, and then they go for the fuel higher fuel cost crisis. And later on, they were not able to pay salary to the pilots and crew members. So that is also that is also a key factor why Kingfisher Airline couldn't sustain in the Indian market. The high state taxes, that is also, as I mentioned, that there are taxes from the state as well as from the central. So these state taxes are legacy of a long stadium perspective that jet fuel, which is a super refined form of kerosene, should not be subsidized for air travel. So they cannot go for a subsidized kind of program, and that is also increases the fuel cost. So now government is planning to reduce this as low as they can in the next few coming years. There are government initiative for the financial year of 2020. Let's look at some initiative which government has made. Very first is in 2020 the government has introduced Lifeline Udan, which is Uday, the Deska Aam Nagarik, and Vande Bharat. So Vande Bharat is, again, as I mentioned before, it is a flight mission that was taken because to bring back Indian from the foreign countries. So these flights to transport essential medical cargo to remote parts of the country to support India's war against the COVID-19. Under this scheme, 465 flights were operated by Air India and Alliance Air, Indian Air Force, and private carriers as of May 5. Under the Union Budget of 2021, government introduced Krishi Udan scheme on both domestic as well as international routes to help farmers in transporting agricultural products and promote the product value. So government is also concentrating on the product developed by the farmers, and they are also planning to sell their product to other countries using this kind of transporting agricultural product programs, Krishi Udan scheme. As per Union Budget of 1920, the government will promote aircraft financing and leasing activities to make India's aviation market self-reliant. So they are also trying to make this ease of doing business. So in the February in 2019, the government of India sanctioned the development of a new greenfield airport in Hirasar, Gujarat, with an estimated investment of almost around 1,405 crore. So this is also a good coming up airport in India, in Gujarat. So as of January 2019, the government of India has been working on a blueprint to promote domestic manufacturing of aircrafts. So under this scheme, government is promoting HAL. They have given military aircraft order to HAL, which is Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, Bangalore, to develop aircrafts. And they are also encouraging other aerospace industries like Mahindra Aerospace or Tata Aerospace and Reliance Aerospace to develop aircraft indigenously within the Indian territory. So these are some of the major policies and initiatives that government has taken. Let's look at the achievements which government has uh, achieved. So under the RCS Udan scheme, so approximately 34 lakh 74,000 passengers were flown and 335 routes were awarded during 2019, covering the 33 airports, which are 20 reserved and 3 under reserved and 10 water aerodromes. So as on October 2019, 55 Airport Authority of Indian airports were declared as single-use plastic-free airport terminals, and Vadodara Airport is also among them, which is a plastic-free and green airport. The best green airport award was awarded to Vadodara for the year of 2019. India was expected to have the largest number of aircraft flying by its scheduled airlines, latest by the December 2019. So all this data which I have taken is from the media report of DGCA. Now let's look at the working organization for the trades through the aviation platform. So the only organization which is involved here is WTO, which is World Trade Organization, which is responsible for the business or say goods and trade transportation across the country and within the country. So all the aviation companies or aviation industries who are in the field of transportation, they like DHL or freight courier. So this kind of aviation companies are in the field of transportation of goods, and they have to follow rules and regulations by the WTO. So WTO is the World Trade Organization, and it is the only global international organization dealing with the rules of trade between nations. At its heart are the WTO agreements negotiated and signed by the bulk of world's trading nations. There are a number of nations who want to do business in the global market. They have to follow rules and regulations, and they have agreed to the terms and conditions of WTO, and they have ratified WTO agreements into their parliaments. India is also among them. The goal is to help producers of goods and services, exporters and importers conduct their business easily. Its main function is to ensure that trade flows as smoothly, predictably, and freely as possible. And by lowering the trade barriers, the WTO system also breaks down other barriers between people and nation. So all the government policies like the Krishi scheme, so government is planning to sell the product of a farmer into the global market. So they will be following rules and regulations of the WTO, and this is the overall development of farmers and also that particular state and the nation. So government has to make this kind of moves to attract farmers and to encourage farmers to go for the global business, and also to increase their living cost. The goal is to improve the welfare of the people of the member country. So this is, as I mentioned, it is to making their lives good. So this was a part of Indian aviation sector, the government rules and regulations, and major airlines which are operating in India, the kind of trades and business which they have done in India. Now let's look at the government body of India, which is responsible for any aviation related activity. Even a single drone flying activity, you need to go for the permission from the DGCA. So DGCA is a Directorate General of Civil Aviation. It is the central uh, government authority, and the vision of DGCA is to minimize to endeavor to promote safe and efficient air transportation through regulation and proactive safety oversight system. So all the safety, all the maintenance, all the engineering, all the aviation businesses, aviation operations, and even accidental, uh, any accidental provision happened in India will be regulated by the DGCA. So recently, if you know, the Kozhikode the accident happened at the tabletop runway of Kozhikode Airport. So the DGCA has made an inquiry, and DGCA has secreted a panel to go for the inquiry of this particular incident, how it happened. So DGCA will look after it. So there are many responsibilities and functions of DGCA. So here I have made 4 major functions of DGCA. So those responsibilities of DGCA are airworthiness, safety and operation of aircraft, flight crew standards, training and aerodrome standards, air transport operation and flight operation. Also, licensing of flight crew, pilot, aircraft engineers, civil aerodromes are all done by DGCA. Certification of aircraft operators are also passed through the DGCA. Investigation into incidents and major accidents are also looking uh, by the DGCA. And also the regulation and control of air transport operations, formulation of aviation legislation, research and development activities in the field of civil aviation, handling of matters related to ICAO. ICAO is the International Civil Aviation Organization, which is an international body which maintains all the rules and regulations, and all center or all national government uh, organizations how to follow their rules and regulations. So ICAO is a central body, and DGCA has to follow rules of ICAO. So there are many detailed functions of DGCA which I will be reflecting in my next slides. So let's look at the structure of DGCA. DGCA structure is mainly distributed in 5 to 6 major panels. So there are major JDG, which is Junior Director General, and those Junior Director General of each and every wing will be looking at the functions like the personal licensing, aircraft engineering, aerospace and air navigation services. Also, there are flying training date, and sports and recreated divisions is also there. So this kind of divisions are there, which I will be explaining in later section. So there are mainly 5 DGCA regional offices located at the Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, and Bangalore. So each and every regional office is having their function. Okay, one or more function can be there. So how this regional offices are working? So they are having one deputy director at the center, and the deputy director general will look at the flight operations, aerodrome standards, airworthiness, and air safety. So the deputy director general of that particular regional office will look after all these operations. And if you look at the aircraft engineering, so R&D related activities and engineering related activities are done only at the Bangalore regional office of DGCA. So different functions of DGCA are, very first is the case of inspection. So inspection is done by the Directorate of Airworthiness. So airworthiness director headquarter at Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai, and Bangalore. So Mumbai is in the part of Western region, and that's why in the Western region, all the issues related to the inspection of aircraft, that will be looked by the Mumbai region. So they have one sub-region at the Bhopal. Also the Delhi, which is the northern region, they will be looking at the inspection kind of activities, and they are having sub-region at the Lucknow, Kanpur, and Patiala. The Kolkata region, which is the eastern region, they have their sub-regions at the Patna, Bhubaneswar, and Guwahati, and the southern region, which is at the Chennai. So they are having the sub-region at the Hyderabad and the Kochi, and the office of airworthiness, which is at the Bangalore. They are only looking at the R&D related activities and engineering aspect of the civil aviation. They are not into the any activity related to the paperwork. So these are the major functions of all these offices regarding the inspection. What they actually do there is the exercising of airworthiness regulatory control of civil aircraft registered in the country. So they look at all those civil aircraft which are registered in the country. So this registered aircraft are into the different regions, and all those regions having the bodies, they will look at the aircraft related activity. So laying down the airworthiness standards, they are licensing of aircraft maintenance engineer. So in the Western region, we have Bombay or say Mumbai. So they are looking at the aircraft maintenance engineers as well as the pilot licensing and issue of certificate of registration of civil aircraft, issue and revalidation of certificate of airworthiness of aircraft. So all these aspects are looking at those particular regional office. Second is the examination. So examination of pilot or aircraft maintenance engineer are done by the Directorate of Airworthiness. So they are into the conduction of examination for the issue and endorsement of aircraft maintenance engineer's license, glider maintenance engineer's license, and basic aircraft maintenance engineer certification. They conduct technical examinations for the pilots and flight engineers. Second is the Directorate of Training and Licensing. So they are into the training and licensing. They train pilots, they train officers and engineers and air traffic control officers to achieve the good correlation or coordination and understanding each other's functions and responsibilities. So these headquarters are at Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, and Chennai. So these four regional offices are also looking at the function of training and licensing. So they are training the pilots at flying and gliding clubs, institution, schools. So in Vadodara, we are having Gujarat Flying Club. So this Gujarat Flying Club is under the region of Western. So the DGCA headquarter at Mumbai will look after the pilots and flying licensing related to the pilots which are taking training in these clubs. They also conduct examination for various categories of pilot licensing. They review medical examination reports of pilots. They also issue and renew pilot licensing of various categories. They also order or they also ask pilots for their regular medical checkups. Third is the Directorate of Flight Inspection. So the Flight Inspection Directorate, they look at they conduct random proficiency checks of pilots and monitor their skill. They also surveillance of various operational aspects of the airlines and operators. So they are into this kind of checks of pilot, instructor, and examiners. Fourth is the Directorate of Regulation and Information. So they are into the business of review and implementation of air surveillance agreements with foreign governments. So any foreign government or any foreign investor who want to do their business in India, they will go for this kind of they will go for the checkups at the Directorate of Regulation and Information. So they also clearance of schedule of foreign airlines, examination and ratification of international conventions, drafting of bills to implement international conventions. This all are done by the Directorate of Regulation and Information. Then the Directorate of Aerodrome Standards. So Aerodrome Standards Directorate are looking into the airport quality. They check airport qualities. So licensing and inspection of civil airports, civil enclaves, private and state government airfields, they all are done by the Directorate of Aerodrome Standards. They are into the business of regularly check-off of airstrips and airports. They also check survivability of the various navigational, communication, and landing facilities, and the safety services and proper maintenance of aerodromes. Okay, their headquarters are lying at Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, and Chennai. Then the Directorate of Air Safety. So they are making policies regarding the air safety. They are also into the inspection of air safety. They are into the planning of any incident happen or any accidental tragedy happen. Then they will take the follow-ups, and they are also going for the checkups, and they are investigating the civil aircraft incidents and minor accidents. They also provide technical experience to courts and committees of the inquiry. They also associate with the investigation of accidents to Indian registered aircraft abroad. So any aircraft which has found trouble in any foreign country, or which has taken any accident happened to any Indian registered aircraft, they will be under the Directorate of Air Safety. So they issue air safety circulars, bulletins, posters, publication of annual civil aircraft and accidental summary. So at the end of this particular presentation, I will show you that how they prepare the safety records. They also prepare the reports regarding the accidental inquiry. So their headquarters are at the Mumbai, Delhi, Hyderabad, Kolkata, and Chennai. Seventh is the R&D Directorate. So this is located at the Bangalore only. So only Bangalore headquarter of this DGCA is looking at the business of research and development of the civil aircraft. So type of certification of civil aircraft, engines and components, approval of repairs and modification of aircraft and components, design and development of prototype light aircraft, gliders, glider launching winches. These are all passed at the Directorate of R&D. So any Indian aviation industry like Mahindra Aerospace or DRDO or even NAL or HAL, they are designing and developing any aircraft, they have to go for the certification at the Directorate of R&D. After the certification of R&D Directorate, only that particular aircraft can fly in the Indian territory. So the headquarter is at the Bangalore, as I mentioned. Then the Directorate of Air Transport. Air Transport Directorate is looking at the issue and renewal of scheduled and non-scheduled operators permit, including agricultural operators. So there are agricultural aircrafts and their operation are also passed through the Directorate of Air Transport. Then the clearance of non-scheduled flights, charter tourist and cargo flights, even private jets are under this. They need to take permission from the Directorate of Air Transport. Approval of flights, schedules of Indian operators, publication of Indian air transport statistics, study of IATA, which is an international air transport association, fare and tariff structure is also done by Directorate of Air Transport. Then the Directorate of Administration, they are looking at the paperwork and administrative activity of DGCA. So all the established work of DGCA, including creation of post, vacancies, filling up of the post, vacancies, and transfers, are looking at the Directorate of Administration. The vigilance and disciplinary cases, security arrangements of the department, welfare of the employees of the department. So those who are recruited, those who are who have served at the DGCA, they will be under the Directorate of Administration. So the salary related work or pension related work will be done by the administration department. So these are the major functions of administration department. So establishment of section, the establishment of maintaining the records of employee service books, their recruitment for the various posts, cash and general section, finance section, vigilance section, coordination section, Hindi section is also there. So that is all done by the DGCA. So as I mentioned before, DGCA is also publishing manuals and reports regarding the procedure of training, air safety procedure, then any air operator certification manual or any incident which took place. So the detailed report regarding the incident and their investigation, those kind of reports are also published by the DGCA. So that's all from my side. Thank you all. Any questions, please? So over to you, Ankit sir.
Okay. Great. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you being here. Thank you very much, Anand sir, for sparing your valuable time.
Welcome, sir.
Yeah, we will be having our next webinar scheduled on 22nd of August. Please do join us for the same, and we will update you for the timing soon. Thanks again for joining us today, and we will see you next time. Thank you very much, Anand sir, for your presence. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.